Hello, everyone, and welcome to another round of shadow work and gratitude and trying to be our best before the holidays really smack us. Because we're only weeks away from Thanksgiving. We're about we'll say roughly a month and a half from the winter holidays. Oy. I know that we're all feeling that stress, and hopefully some of you are feeling a little more at ease with it as you've been doing all these little exercises for gratitude and shadow work. If this has been helping out, please leave a like. I love to see that, we're progressing forward together as a group. But tonight I wanted to kind of touch on the fact that as awesome as it would be, that shadow work would be like a lot of other things, kind of like one of those once a year jobs. No. I wish it was, but no. Instead, it really is an all through the year thing. And to kind of get a little deeper into that, I wanted to talk about our 3 least favorite cards in the entire deck. And by we, I mean most people, because some of you know these cards very well and know that they are the harbingers that everyone freaks out about. But for those of you that are kind of unsure or new to tarot, I definitely want to touch on these because these are some of the most misunderstood cards in the entire deck. And unfortunately, they are cards that do come up when shadow work is kind of being called in to help you progress in whatever situation you're in that you're getting your reading for. So without further ado, let's talk about the Tower, the Devil, and the Three of Swords. Alright, and to get started, we're going to actually start in almost that order, more or less, and we're going to start with the Tower card. Now, when people see the Tower card, they freak out, alright? They lose their minds because all they see whenever this card comes up is destruction, because that's all they're told that it is. It's not the case. Shadow work is not always pretty, as we have found. It is uncomfortable, it is scary, and it is messy. But that's where this Tower card comes into play, because the thing is both the Tower card and shadow work together, because yes, it is a giant shit show. Let's be honest, it is a shit show. But it is after that shit show that we actually have room to grow, because all the junk that's been cluttering our lives has been removed, or at least most of the way, depending on how much we've been clinging to some of it. And that is where the Tower card is actually your best friend when it comes to shadow work, and if it happens to pop up in a reading, because yes, it's a mess. It sucks. But after all that, it's think of it as almost like very aggressive spring cleaning. You know how you start to kind of get rid of all the stuff that you have no idea why you've kept it the last 5 years, but you know you did for a reason. That's the Tower card. Clearing out all the junk so you can grow. So the next time you see a Tower card in a reading, brace yourself for some crazy, but know that that crazy, much like your shadow work, if used in a positive mindset, it does actually help you progress further so that you can actually see that room for growth and see all the junk swept away in the chaos. Now for our next pressure point. The Devil card. Now this does not mean like the Christian devil. I'm sorry for all of you that think that, but it really is not the case, alright? The Devil card, when it pops up, is letting you know that you've got some binds, some addictions, you've got some things going on that you are pretty much being strapped down by, that is keeping you from moving forward. And that's really all it is just calling you out that you've got some things that you are clinging on to that is not letting you progress. In fact, if anything, it's either keeping you on one spot, or worse, holding you and making you go backward from all that progress you made. You worked hard for that progress. Don't be letting stuff hold you back. And when it comes to the devil, these bonds can be literally anything, all right? It could be a relationship that you know is not healthy for you. It could be a shopping issue that you know that you need to get a hold of. It could be food. Quite literally, anything that you have an unhealthy attachment to is what the devil card is representing, that you need to get either a hold of and start controlling it instead of it controlling you, much like that shadow self we were talking about at the beginning, you know? Or eradicate, again, much like that shadow self we were talking about before. Or you just need to kick it out of your life. Because these bonds aren't necessarily always things that you need to get rid of, so much as things that you need to regain control of. Things that you need to reassert yourself and reclaim your power. Because for whatever reason along the way, you accidentally lost it. And it does happen to everybody. There's absolutely no shame here. None at all. The only shame here is when you choose not to make sure that you are doing everything you can to make yourself best for yourself and the people that you love. That is the only time there's ever shame here. But as far as this guy, when he pops up in your readings for whatever situation, don't look at him as a scary guy. Look at him as okay, I'm not a fan of you calling me out on the unhealthy attachments, but I now recognize exactly what you are, and I need to perk my ears up and pay attention because, again, do we really want to stay where we are, or worse, go backward? Or do we want to move forward? And last, but absolutely not least, probably the only card that I actually have a love-hate relationship with in the entire deck is the Three of Swords. Three of Swords is unfortunately, yes, a harbinger for a lot of emotional pain. For those of you that have had a reading with me with this guy popping up, you've probably heard me compare it to someone putting your heart through a blender and feeding you like soup. And I'm right there with you. I've had this happen to me a couple times in my life, and it sucks. But along with shadow work, as you've heard me say 100 times by now, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's disgusting, and occasionally painful. But the thing is about shadow work is that sometimes our shadow self causes this pain, causes the door to open for these things to happen. And it sucks. But that's why we do the shadow work. That's why we make sure that we do the things to make sure that we are our best selves, to either work with our shadow self to turn it into a tool for growth, or try to get rid of it because it definitely doesn't serve any purpose. And in a lot of cases, our shadow selves, you know, the guy that we're trying to get a hold of, opens the doors for this crap to happen. Never ever intentionally, but, you know, choices lead to consequences. So when the Three of Swords pops up, don't necessarily blame the situation, and definitely don't blame yourself for not taking the steps to avoid the situation. Look at it exactly what it is. A learning experience for you and your shadow work. Alright? Again, zero judgments, zero shame here, except for if you choose not to grow when you have every opportunity. Only time there's ever shame here. But that is all we've got as far as, you know, the misunderstood cards, and if these guys ever pop up in your readings throughout the year, because they are good ones for shadow work. And actually, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework, okay? And just for giggles, and a lot of times it is the biggest reason that's holding us back from our shadow work, I'm going to ask you guys to take a hot minute tonight. Take 5-10 minutes to just sit down, clear your mind, do a little bit of meditation with our buddy, the Devil card. No, I'm not telling you to worship the devil, so the few of you over there going, oh, chill. Because remember what we just said a couple minutes ago, this guy is just representing all the things that we have an unhealthy attachment to. So for your shadow homework tonight, guys, I want you to take a minute, sit down, and ask yourself, what unhealthy attachments do I have that I need to release before the holiday season so that I can be my best for my family, for myself, and for the coming new year. And I'll even start with my unhealthy attachment so that you guys can see that, yeah, it's scary, it's not fun, it's kind of gross, but it's good and necessary. The first thing that's going to be going on my list of my unhealthy attachments is quite literally more of an ideology than a physical attachment, and that is my unhealthy clinging desire to make sure I do not fail. Now, it definitely sounds like something that all of us have on some degree or another, right? I'll be the first to admit I am so unhealthy about it that literally, if I do not go the full extent that I demand of myself, I actually full-blown psychologically punish myself for days, sometimes even weeks, of how I did not do something for my children, how I didn't get a video recorded on time, how I didn't make sure that I left specifically at a certain time to get somewhere at the time that I intended to. I legit freak myself out if I fail, and even if it's a small thing. So there you go. There's an unhealthy attachment that, while it may seem benign, you can actually take to a whole unhealthy level. So, like I said, tonight, guys, sit down and ask yourself, what unhealthy attachment can I let go of before the holiday season so that I can be the best for my family? And if this video helped you at all, leave a like. I appreciate them. They help me know that, I'm doing one of my lifetime goals of making sure that people help be their best self. If you'd like a little extra advice on how to kind of see those unhealthy attachments, feel free to comment card, and I'll be all too happy to help you out with that. And don't forget to follow for more shadow work, gratitude advice, and most importantly, how we can all become our best selves. Have a good night, guys. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow.